Hi, welcome everybody. This is Jack Miller with T360, again with a broker monthly education talk that we're going to have today. And I have Dean Cottrill here, who's our SVP of brokerage consulting and leads our T3 Fellows program. So welcome, Dean. I know you're coming from a remote location today.
Yeah. Hey, Jack. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're excited about the topic today, and especially about having Matt Curtis with us. Matt Curtis Real Estate in Huntsville, Alabama. As you guys might have heard me say in the past, I put Matt right in the rock star category. He is a rock star in our industry, and we're fortunate to have him. We've worked with him through our fellows program and our alumni program, and he's done some phenomenal things. So Matt, welcome, and thanks for joining us.
All right, awesome. Thanks for having me, Dean and Jack.
We're just delighted to have you today, and we'll bring you back in kind of midway through the segment and talk a little bit about some of the things you've been doing at your company. One of the things I most enjoy is hearing what brokers are doing in their business and what things are working and changing for you. And I know you've done a lot of stuff. One of the things I remember from when you were in the core program, every time we had an assignment, I got back 10x what everybody else did from Matt. So he's a doer. He'll if you say give me a plan, he'll give you a plan, and then he'll go execute it. So it's awesome. So we'll share some of that later in the call. We wanted to start with a core topic that we do a lot of work with brokers on, which I'm going to pull up some slides on this, which is about goal setting and just kind of how to think and act with goal setting. And how you should potentially move with goal setting as a topic. So I'm going to pop out here for just a second.
Everybody, a lot of things go into goal setting. It's not, sometimes people start snoozing or they start kind of falling asleep and you say goal setting, another goal setting exercise. But there's a lot in this process that it's going to be very helpful to you in the running of your business. So it's not just the idea of setting goals. There's a lot of things that go into that discussion that we're going to get into.
Okay. So I'm having a little bit of a challenge with my share screen. Are you guys seeing my screen? Because it's acting a little strangely on mine.
Yeah, we can see it.
Then I'm just going to run it like this. When I go to full screen, my whole screen blanks out and then I can't see what slide I'm on. So we're going to do it like this.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's what we're going to review today. We're going to talk about the goal setting process and kind of the goal setting process, how to think about it as either a brokerage owner or if you're leading a large team. It's a little different. I think that, like Dean said, most people in real estate have been through goal setting as an agent many, many, many times. And most of the people listening to this call, you probably teach this with your agents. You do work with them every year to set goals. When you move into a different role, or if you've been in this role for a while of running a real estate company or a large team, then your goal setting shifts a little bit because it isn't the straightforward exercise that you maybe have had as an agent or with agents, where it's really just about production and units and sales. It incorporates other elements in your business. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of those elements and some of the things that you should consider. And then, like I said, we're going to turn it over to Matt midway through and have a little conversation with him about some of the things he's done. And he's achieved some pretty remarkable goals in the development of his business. So there's 4 elements to the goal setting process that we teach at T360. And we're going to kind of talk broadly about each one of them and give you some specific things that you can take away from the session today. So we're going to talk first about preparation, how to get ready for a goal setting process as a broker or as a sales team leader. We're going to get into forecasting, and we're going to leave you with a very valuable tool for forecasting today, which is we call the what if spreadsheet, which is a way to look at potential future outcomes by making different changes in your business. So forecasting is a very important activity because it tells you what to focus on and what's important in order to achieve the goals that you have. Then we're going to get into the meat of action planning, which is what do you need to take away if you've done your forecast and you have a financial or specific outcome that you want. What are the things that you need to do in order to have that outcome actually occur? And then lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about the agent planning component of it, which there's obviously many of you have had some education on agent planning. There's a few practical tips and tricks that we've learned. So I'm just going to jump right in and talk about preparation. So we're entering that time of year where you are most likely starting to think about 2021 goals. And 2020 has been a weird year. I mean, I know every broker that we've talked to has had this, they had this like interrupt that happened in either March or April or May, and then everything came back. And so many people are still as busy as they would normally be in July just right now because we're still recovering. So it's been an interesting year to do this kind of an exercise because of how different the year has been. Regardless of that, what you want to do is go back and review the intent. And we have an earlier module that we covered about strategic intent, which is about setting where you want your business to end up. What's your end goal? Where do you want to get to? Whether that's a lifestyle goal or an income goal or a net worth goal or a valuation goal. You want to review where you were trying to get to and where you are trying to get to and confirm that that's still your intent. And then you want to assess where are you towards that performance. For instance, if you set a goal of your company being, able to sell your company for say $5 million, what's its valuation today? Where are you on that progress? If you set your goal towards a certain amount of income for yourself, maybe it's a personal income goal where you have income coming from your business, where are you on track for that? Are you halfway there? Are you 75% of the way there? If you set a goal for $500,000 in income and you're projecting you're going to do 350, 400 this year, then you know what your progress is. So you need to assess the performance towards that strategic intent and where you are on your trajectory. Many of the brokers that we work with set big, ambitious goals that take 3, 4, 5, 6 years, especially if they're going to do something like grow their business and sell it, or open up in new regions, or maybe franchise their company. There's lots of different ways that people have those big, ambitious goals. And what you want to do is use this period right now to track where are you versus where you've come from. There's some tools you can use for preparation. Obviously the MLS, the sales reporting, your own financial systems, your accountant may have things for you to help you assess your performance. But what you want to do in preparation is gather those materials together so that you can do that performance assessment and say, here's where we are today and here's where we want to be. So that's the piece on preparation.
And that's such an important topic right there, Jack.
Absolutely.
Is the fact that many of the broker owners and large team leaders that we work with, I'd say more the broker owners, don't think about that end state. And I guess the team, a good number of team leaders too, of where that end state is. That's the strategic intent. The intent is, I want to go, like Jack said, to this place. And what does this place look like? Is it a valuation? What is that valuation? It's here, and you're right here, right now. All right, and what's the timeline? How long it's going to take you to get there, or when would you like to get there? And then that becomes the roadmap for you to start building this out. And then you dive into milestones. Now, this whole business planning ties right into that, because now you have that destination where you want to go. And now, how is that business plan that you're going to put in place for 2021 going to tie into that milestone in that course to get to that end state, whatever that is? Yeah. And one of the things to be careful of, you don't want to have more than 3 to 5 tasks inside of each of those milestones, because it becomes too much. There's a great survey or study done that people that have, and in companies that have 0 initiatives and over 10 accomplish the same thing.
Yeah.
So
there's a magic number in there. Yeah, there's a magic number of don't take on more than 3 to 5, significant initiatives or projects in any given time span, because it's hard to focus on 11 things. And it produces the same results as focusing on none. So let's talk a little bit about, as part of the next exercise, which is forecasting. Okay, we know we want to get there. Now let's pull it back into what are the performance metrics? What are the numbers that we need to hit? What progress needs to be made in 2021 to move you towards that strategic intent, to move you towards whatever that end goal is? So the forecasting methodology, and we're going to provide a spreadsheet for you to do your own forecasting as part of this call, starts with your foundational numbers. So we do a business discovery process with each broker and team that we work with. We go through and identify all the key performance metrics: recruiting, retention, expenses, your top line, your net profitability and return on revenue. So we look at all of those elements, because that informs that forecast. and tells you where your start position is and where you have maybe work to do in different areas, whether that's retaining more agents, recruiting more agents, increasing their production, those kinds of pieces. So if you haven't listened to the webinar we did on the discovery process, I think back in June, highly recommend you go listen. Gives you an overview of the key areas to touch on as part of a business discovery. And we do this with our clients and then give them a scorecard out of that says, here's where you are on these key metrics. So if you haven't listened to that, recommend you go back and listen to it. If you need a recording, just reach out to us. We'll make sure you get it.
Two things you want to do. I want to watch real quick, if I can hit this, Jack, on this topic. Yeah. Is 24. We want to go, as you can see on that spreadsheet, if you look where it says business overview, it says 12 months and previous 12 months. You really want to track 24 months, 12-month period previous, and then the 13th to 24th month back, because that's going to show you trends. That's going to really give you indications of what's happening. Now, for many organizations, potentially you don't have a CFO running your operation or supporting you. You might have QuickBooks and you're doing it yourself, right? And then your expenses are alphabetical by A through Z. So this is a way you want to start bucketing those expenses. Put facilities, anything to do with facilities, CAM charges, rent charges, cleaning services, you name it, bucket it, all right? Salaries, bucket these expenses in the key categories. We encourage that. Look back over 24 months and 6 key areas. We dive into a ton of areas, over 100 benchmarks that we have in our Discover process. But one of the things, 6 key areas that most brokers have a lot of control over that you want to focus on is people, headcount, agents, have the best agents out there and have the most, right? Typically the biggest army wins. Units, what's your unit count? What's your per person productivity count? What's the price of the units you're selling? Can you move your price higher? Commission percentage, what are you charging on average to the public? Are you losing ground there? Are your agents giving away money? Can you help gather or gain ground on that front? Retain percentage. What are you retaining of the gross commission income? What percentage of that are you holding on to go to your expenses and profit? And the last thing is expenses. Those are 6 key areas at a minimum you want to keep an eye on. And then you want to get, as you get more into the strategic intent thinking and the business planning thinking, you really want to dive even deeper. But I'll stop there with at least those 6.
Yeah, if you look at those 6 are a great start. And again, you're going to want to build this for your business. So if your business model is a little different, if your transaction fee model, you might not have retained commission. It might be transaction fees of what is your transaction fee. So you want to look at trends because that's going to be what is driving your revenue. I still think, and I think Dean agrees with me, it's still important to look at how much money your agents are making, even if you're on a fee-based model versus a commission split, because agents that are productive and successful will stay with your firm. And if they're making good money, that's why that's important. If they're giving away commission, you should know that you can help them that way, and they'll be more likely to stay if you can help them retain a larger portion of their commission, even if you're not on a commission-based model. So once you've done that, looked at your core metrics, looked at your performance over the last couple of years, then we have all of our brokers and team leaders go through this forecasting exercise. We're going to provide you with this spreadsheet. It's really cool. It lets you plug in where you were in the last 12 months, and then you can work with a number of different variables in your business and say, what if I added agents? What if my agents did more units? What if we upped our price point? What if we changed our retained company dollar? All those different pieces, you can play with these different elements. And again, it doesn't matter what model you're in. If you're a transaction fee model, just work with the transaction fee number, and then that'll tell you how you're going to perform. So this spreadsheet will let you forecast into a future and say, hey, do I like the bottom number that comes out? Do I like the net profit that comes out of this forecast? And if you do, then you can work back and say, what are the key things that I have to adjust in my business in order to get to that net profit number? Which, by the way, if you have a valuation goal, that net profit number is highly relevant to your valuation goal. If you said, I want to have a company I can sell for $5 million, you have to hit a specific net income number after expenses consistently for your company to be worth that, right? So it's super important for valuation. And obviously it's important if you have a specific lifestyle goal or an income goal. So we're going to give you this worksheet as a takeaway from today's call. We encourage you to work with it. There is some foundational work we do with all of our brokers that goes into this forecasting process and this planning process that you may need. And if you need it, reach out to us and we can tell you how you can get it done. So things on forecasting, you want to look at these key performance drivers. This is very fundamental to real estate, the different performance drivers we have listed. This specific spreadsheet is all about real estate. So it's not a general forecasting. It's very specific to real estate businesses. You want to look at some different scenarios and then pick a few of the performance drivers that you're going to decide to move in the next year. It could be units. It could be recruitment of more agents. It could be changing one or two of your fees in your business. We've had some big companies come through this program and done work with us, and they've been able to modify their fees. They presented a better value proposition to their agents and literally moved into adding $30,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 in net income a month. If you're a big company, moving your fees around, even $1 or $2 or $3 can make a big difference to your business. So don't let the fees get away from you. And benchmark your fees. See what everybody else is charging, because this is another one. We've run into brokers and they haven't looked at the benchmarks in 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and everybody else has slowly crept up their fees and theirs have been left behind. And so you're leaving money on the table. So look at those performance drivers.
Yeah, to that point, Jack, just real quick, throw out is we have someone working right now in the Fellows program who we did the competitive assessment in the spring and adjusted his fees because he actually did not raise his fees as they went up around him. He made the change, the adjustment, ran through COVID. He's putting in $30,000 more in through the fees so far this year, just by that adjustment alone.
Yeah. Don't leave that money on the table. If you're providing the services and the market is charging this, you need to charge this or more if services are better. So, and very important. So run the forecast, pick a few variables that you're going to work on. Say, you know what, we're going to work on these, 3 or 4 things in the business over the next year. And that's where you get to the last piece, which is the action plan. Once you've picked where you want to improve your business, then you need to break it down into an action plan to say, this is what we're going to do. And these are just some examples of questions you might ask yourself as you're developing and building that action plan, and say, what do we need to do to improve each one of these performance drivers? Are there other practices or other tools or systems you need to put in place? Do you need to make some staffing changes? So look at the performance driver and ask yourself, what if I were to change that number? What is necessary for me to go do in order to change that number? Do you need to train the agents more? Do you need to have more dedicated recruiting time for yourself or for your recruiter? Do you need to get a recruiter? What is the thing that's going to move that number most effectively? And I would recommend, and I think Dean would too, you don't want to have just one plan for improving that number. You probably want several plans to improve that number, so that if any one plan doesn't work, that you have other plans that are going to move that number forward as well. So you say, you know what, we're going to improve our transaction count. So I'm going to do training with the agents on getting an additional 2 or 3 referrals. I'm going to bring in a lead gen program so I can give them some additional transactions. And we're going to affiliate with a referral company that's going to send us referrals. And if you do all 3 of those things, will you get an incremental transaction out of every agent? Yes, you will, because you've got 3 different legs of an action plan aimed at driving a unit count, right? So that's the kind of thinking you want to put into your action plan, is you want to have multiple plans of action to make sure that that number moves the direction you want it to move, up or down or sideways or however, right? So last bit with the agents, and I'll talk a little about that. The agents need their own, planning process, right? And, it's our belief that as a leader, when you lead people through that planning process and connect it to the goals that they have, they're way more likely to be successful. And so we recommend running an agent sales goal setting process every year and building it into how you operate your business. Because if people are coming to you for leadership, and then you can provide them that leadership to grow and improve their incomes, then they're much, much, much more likely to stay with you long term. And so if they start to see that part of what you do is you plan your business and then you help them plan theirs so that everybody hits their goals, you'll be successful long term. There's a lot of different approaches to this. A few we've called out here, whether you do it one-on-one. I personally like the group approach. I like getting a group together and getting people to attack a big goal together and declare their goals publicly and say, I want to do this much this year, because they're much more accountable when you do that. Connect it to their personal and financial goals, and they'll work hard all year long. Connect it to recognition or things that mean something to them, and they'll work hard all year long. So that's just a few thoughts on agent planning. There's a lot of resources on agent sales planning and goal setting out there. We have some in our T3 Fellows program that we supply to people who go through that program, but obviously there's lots of coaches that do a lot of great work in the agent sales business planning part of it. So Dean, any last comments on agent business planning?
I was going to say, last comment is just share your goals with your agents because it's one of the things that lacks with organizations is alignment, that there's a lack of alignment from the top all the way down through the lines, and that's where it breaks down. So share your goals, what you want to achieve, and then also be an accountability partner. So offer to be an accountability partner to them to help them achieve their goals. I do like the fact that personal and financial, I would tie it in just for a strong culture in your organization. Culture being connections between your agents and leadership is a really positive thing, as we all know. So you want to tie it into just more than business, because you know what, life's more than just business. So tie it on that personal side too, and then you're going to have a real win-win scenario there.
Yeah, that's great. Great. So we're going to change gears now, and I'm really delighted to bring on Matt Curtis, who is the founder and owner of Matt Curtis Real Estate, to talk a little bit about some of the things you've been doing in your business. And it's just great to have you on, Matt. You're such a performer and have done so many great things in your company over the last 2 or 3 years. I think when we started working with you, you were doing like 300 or 400 transactions a year, and now you're well up over 1,000. I'm not even up to your latest stats. I know you've been doing a lot of work, but tell us a little bit about Matt Curtis Real Estate and where you guys are from, and kind of what you've done over the last few years working on improving and developing your business.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Jack. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you and Dean. You all have been so instrumental in our business. And, if I'm on the webinar right now, I'm looking at all these numbers, and it feels like a lot of work, but I just want to tell everybody it is worth the work. When I went into the Fellows program, we were making good profit, but we weren't making great profit. So for the last 2 years through the Fellows program, we had a 7-figure profit. And on top of that, due to the efforts and the mentorship of Dean, even through COVID-19, we are going to double that 7-figure profit in COVID-19 in 2020. So that's really the proof is in the, some of these numbers can be boring, but it's so important. And if you're a numbers guy, if you love numbers like I do, the awesome thing is Jack and Dean know the numbers better than anybody. Even when you feel like I felt like my spreadsheets were amazing. I didn't need any more data, but every time you ask me for information, I'm like, oh, I never thought about it from that angle or that perspective. And I really love the what if scenarios, because it gives you so many different tools and metrics that you can play around with. And literally that's one of the ways that we were able to double the profit this year is by playing with those strings. And so,
and for context, yours is not, you say double the profit, but you're what, like a 50-person business? How many agents are with you?
We're a total team member size of about 60. We'll do about 1,200 sales this year.
Yeah. So that's, if you're listening on this call and you're saying that's a place I'd like to have a 7-figure net profit out of it's not a huge business. That's a manageable size business. But you've really grown it. I remember when it was 25 or so people. So that's incredible, just incredible. What are some of the things that you've done, Matt, that have worked, you found have worked for your business, your company? I know you've had a lot of initiatives over the years that have been effective for you.
Yeah, we have. I think a lot of it is going into it with the right mindset. A goal versus a dream. A goal is going to have a deadline. A goal is going to be measurable. And so I think that's the biggest thing going into it. And you push each of the fellow team members is to, okay, let's make this thing measurable and let's give it a deadline as well. Because it's easy to have dreams, but you want to be a doer. You want to get these things done. So we've accomplished a lot of different things. There's a list of things. But one of the things that I guess was brought out by some of the metrics that you talked about was admin productivity, admin per contract. And I had never looked at it that way. And last retreat that we were at, when I looked at those numbers, I think we were around 30. And I just found that we were too admin heavy. And so as of today, that number's about 50. 50 contracts per admin. So we got a whole lot more efficient throughout the project or throughout the process. And that really helped with our profitability. So that was one of the big things. One of the big things for me as well is I really wanted to pursue a visionary role versus also being the integrator, the chief project manager, if you will. And so through your all's work and the projects, I've been able to step into that role and establish kind of a better work-life balance. And so not only are we more profitable, but I'm also working less and doing more of what I enjoy doing. Which is also going to help set us up for the next wave of growth as I kind of cast the vision of here's the projects that we want to do. And unfortunately, I no longer have to do them.
I think it's really challenging if you are, an executive in a small business that you're always trying to do too many things. And so if you're trying to, and I think that as you grow your business, we found everybody, yourself included, Matt, that part of that growth is developing others to take over things so you can hand it off and then focus on the highest value task. And you've done that very consistently. And I'm delighted to hear you get some of your time back. You get to actually spend the time that you want to spend with your family and doing things that are important, as opposed to, doing administrative work or maybe doing sales work or in places where you probably are not getting the best return out of that time. Right. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's always time well invested. And then also, I guess the thing is, you get to, it's so rewarding to be able to invest in a team member and see their growth throughout the process. And so it's like that coach mode. So you can kind of get 20 feet above it and watch them grow in their career because, at this point we've grown to a profitability level where I'm comfortable, I'm okay, but that's not what they signed up for. They signed up for growth in their career, and it's giving them the extra rope to manage and lead as well. So it's really gratifying from that perspective.
Yeah, and that's a huge shift. That's a huge shift to move from that investing to make sure your business is running in the way that it wants to where it's like, no, now I'm growing everybody around me, and that's a massive change that propels your business forward. So Dean, you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and that's the beautiful thing too, because we've worked with, Matt and so many others that have inspired to move out of active selling and move into more of running, like Matt with the visionary and where you want to take your operation. So through these steps and through where, having that vision of what you want to do, then implementing a strategy, you have moved out of the day-to-day selling operation. And now you are running your operation and tweaking it and changing it. And to what you said, I think, and for me personally, that was what I really loved as I went through leadership, management offices, regional president. When you can impact people's lives and help them achieve things they would never or don't think they can achieve themselves, and it's just a beautiful thing. So it's reward outside of money. It's just a beautiful reward in life, and you're able to do that now because you position yourself with your organization to do all that. So congratulations and phenomenal job.
Great work, Matt, and thank you for supporting us and being willing to come on and talk about some of the success you've had. I'm going to switch gears again and just let everybody know about the Fellows Program for a minute. We are enrolling for a new group that is starting this fall. We've got a class we've put together. We do this twice a year. It's not an all-comers program. We do it by application. And it's something where we're really looking for leaders that want to invest and grow their business and spend time with a group of ambitious leaders that are doing the same thing. And so we've now worked with about 60 brokers and team leaders through this program, Dean. I think we're right around that number. I'd have to go look exacgly. And this is
we're close to 100 now, Jack. We're moving.
It may be. What class are we in now? We're entering class?
When you add a couple of the other ones we've brought in, we're close to 13. This would be official class 10, but we have other ones that we've run for other organizations. So we're about 13 in.
Yeah. And just for those on the call, if you've not listened into one of these before, I'll give you a quick overview. This is a one-year program. It's a business accelerator for real estate leaders. There's curriculum throughout the year. We have 10 fundamental modules we work with leaders on to develop and grow their business. There's one-on-one consulting as part of it in order to apply the process to your business. We were getting in person twice a year prior to COVID. It looks like this year it's going to be all virtual, but next year we're going to move back to the in-person retreats. We are doing virtual retreats until everything is fine for people to travel and go places. And we do involve there's a body of leaders that have gone through this program. So we bring in alumni and people who have been through the program before to talk about what they've done and worked on in their business. There are some requirements in order to join. We want people to have some staff in place because there is some work required in the program where it's going to be helpful to have some staff. You need to be committed to growth personally because this is not a vacation program. This is we're going to work on your business program. As Matt said, it looks like a lot of work because there's a lot of work involved in growing and developing your business. We're going to help you do it faster and easier than if you did it on your own. But you need to be committed to that process. And it's also one where we're looking for brokers that have relatively stable sales and revenue, where you're not having to jump back into sales mode constantly in and out of your business. It's very difficult to work on growing and developing your business and jump in and out of being a listing agent or doing that kind of activity all the time. So we're looking for relatively stable sales and revenue through your business. If you've been listening to these webinars over the past few months and are interested in participating or just finding out what you would need to do to be in the program, recommend go take a next step, go to the application form, fill it out, t3fellows.com/apply. We will respond and get back to you. Regardless of whether or not you're a candidate in the program or not, we'll let you know what we think your next steps are. So we have a lot of people that maybe they're not quite ready for the program. They'll fill in all the information. We'll get back to them. And then we have other people that fill it out and say, gosh, you are ready, let's go. So I'd say if you're not certain which of those categories you're in, or if you just want our opinion on your business and where your business could be improved, go ahead and fill out an application. We'll review it. It is an application program so that we can put a good functional group of about 7 to 10 brokers together that can all work together. They're also geographically exclusive so that when you get in a room or when you're doing our mastermind calls, you can talk about your business and your competitors not in the room with us. So that's a little bit of information about the Fellows Program. If you are interested or have questions, I suggest fill out an application. It gives us some information, some context. We can get back to you and let you know what we think your next steps are, whether it's with us or other development work to do in your business first. So any final thoughts, Matt? On you earlier, you said, hey, this looks like a lot of work, but it's worth it. Anything you'd tell people that were on the fence about the Fellows Program or joining and doing it?
I would say just do it. Anytime you have an opportunity to grow your business and you're able to take on mentorship, it's well worth the investment. We're big believers in personal development, and the investment level compared to the amount of extra profit that we've made is probably one of the best investments we've ever made. So I would highly encourage everybody just to go ahead and pull the trigger and do it.
Awesome. Dean, any final comments from you before we wrap up today's broker?
No, very appreciative, Matt. Thank you so much. Always good to see you, my friend. Appreciate everything that you're doing out there and your continued partnership with us. And Jack, always good to see you. If, like Jack said, everybody, if you guys want to fill out an application, I'm the one that you'll be talking to. I'll respond to you. We'll set up a time. Love to talk to you about you and your business. If it's timing's right, great. We'll look forward to working with you. If not, we'll let you know and we'll work with you sometime in the future.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for attending this month's call, and we'll see you next month.
All right. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.